One of our favorite places to go in Oklahoma is the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. It's kind of near Lawton, Oklahoma, maybe in the west, the Midwest to Southwest portion. You could look at a map. And we have been going there, we've probably been there maybe 6 times, maybe 7 over the years, but we've always gone in the spring or the summer. And for the first time ever, we took a trip there in the fall. This is actually right near, I don't know, it was sometime in the fall. And one thing that really stood out to me in this trip to the Wichita Mountains was the colors. We had never seen colors like this before when we go to the Wichita Mountains. And that's the hallmark of this photo here. The fact that there's so many colors just like exploding out of the frame. And I took this when we hiked up Little Baldy, which it's a really great hike. If you're ever in the area, I highly recommend the hike called Little Baldy. It's not difficult. It takes maybe, I don't know, half hour to get from the parking lot to the top of the mountain, maybe slightly more. It's a gentle, easy hike. And you get to see a lot of cool things along the way. And it's called Little Baldy because the top of the mountain, I mean, it's not a mountain, but the top of the hill or whatever you want to call it is just a rock. And it's all exposed rocks. There's no trees or anything. And as we're looking out north here, first of all, I could see all these colors. And I shot this with my Fuji X100F, which is, I think it was the only camera I brought with. I didn't even bring my macro lens this time. At least I don't think I did. I think the only camera I brought was my X100F because it's just a phenomenal camera. And I'm looking north, and the first thing I noticed was the trees with all the colors, of course. But then beyond that, the way the sun was low in the sky at this time of year, as opposed to summer when it's like bright overhead, the sun was low in the sky and casting this rich light over all of the mountains. It was just something I'd never really seen before when we've been to this location. And the whole thing it was way different than anything I'd ever seen color-wise and composition-wise, even though we've been here many times. I shot this at f8 because there was plenty of light to work with. I didn't really care about shutter speed. It was a 1/400th of a second shutter speed, ISO 200. And when you're shooting a landscape like this, you don't want a shallow depth of field. Generally, you want to shoot like f8, f11, f16, and you'll get a much sharper image as a result. There was a lot of wind also. And so I guess if I had a tripod and an ND filter, which the X100F does have a built-in 3-stop ND filter, but if I wanted to, I could have shot a bit of a longer exposure and gotten the lake to smooth out a little bit. But then the trees would have been moving because it was super windy. So I'm not a big fan of that shot or that style of shot or that exposure on this particular day. All in all, this was a super fun trip. It was a great trip, and this shot helps me remember this trip specifically. It was one of the best things about photography is when you can use a photo for the purpose of telling a story. In this case, the story of this particular trip. I have a lot of photos from the Wichita Mountains over the years, but none quite like this because of all the rich colors. And that's one of the special things about photography and taking this photo in general that I really appreciate.